Hey, glad you guys got to meet some people, and I'd like to introduce you to my friend, the person that I met yesterday. Our careers have been parallel to each other. We served alongside in uniform in the Air Force, and while I did the broadcast track, he did the VPD side. This is none other than James Jones, so a professional multimedia specialist. Works now in Texas, yes. Right, at the third
Audiovisual Squadron.
Third Audiovisual Squadron. It used to be Combat Camera, right? And he is going to talk about the fact that pre-production is the biggest deal that you can make.
Kind of.
Because if you don't prep, you're not going to have success. James
Awesome.
Jones, everyone.
Thank you very much. I really hate being in front of the camera. That's why I'm behind it. I think, how many else likes that? Is the same way, yeah. I was told I had a face for radio. Sorry. Okay, so we've had some great speakers. We've focused a lot on the key parts of production. Cinema, getting those nice camera shots, audio, the lighting, all those things that are super important, right? I don't have any hands-on for this. This is going to be kind of like sit and get, but we're going to have, I wanted it to be a little bit interactive because this is something that we all do, but we might not do it efficiently, or we might not even know we're doing it. But if you intentionally do and perform pre-production on all your products, they're going to turn out better, right? Because pre-production, it is kind of a big deal. So, what are the adages we have? 100% of people who fail to plan, they plan to fail, right? Okay, or measure twice, cut once. Anybody here like a carpenter or like to craft things up? Yeah, it's imperative you measure, right? If you look at the walls of my house, what I like about when I'm hanging stuff is that the picture, I can like cover up all the holes that I missed the first time, right? I've gotten better and better at it. It's because I measure now. I used to just think this will be super easy, but measure twice, cut once. But basically, pre-production is planning. So who here can name for me the academic 3 phases of production? In the academic sense. Okay, how can you just name the 3 phases of production?
Pre-production, production.
Yes, pre, pro, and post, right? At the third, we try to follow this in every product that we do. It's something that's pretty standardized. And it doesn't really matter what product you have because it's a part of every product. If it's the most minute, I just go grab an interview, to a 7-page scripted mission video or training video that you're doing. That is multiple locations, multiple talent, everything. You need to practice good pre-production. Having a short timeline is no excuse. We have all, the majority of people in this room are either currently in this situation or have been in this situation where you have someone telling you have to go cover something. You have to go do it. And you have to go do it now, and you have to turn it around yesterday. If you don't have good pre-production habits, it's going to be a failure. You're going to forget that cable. You're going to have not thought about the location at you're at, and you forgot a piece of lighting equipment or a microphone cover for your microphone. So a dead cat. So short timeline is no excuse. It needs to be part of your routine when you're creating products. But like I said, we get it. We've been there, right? We just get it, grab it, and go, and try to produce whatever we can. The last thing you should be doing is thinking, I'm just going to get this, and then I'm going to think about how I put it together afterwards, because you're cutting yourself short. You may be able to get out a product that just suffices, but it is not going to stand out. It is not going to be as effective as it could be. What are some of the products that you guys typically have to put out? Just anybody, someone raise their hand and let me know. Anyone?
Shooting scripts.
Shooting scripts, like training videos? Okay.
Year in review videos.
Year in review videos, okay. Yeah.
Shop highlight?
A shop highlight, okay.
Like jets, B2 pilots.
B2 pilot. So what are you doing with the product? You're like, are you like doing like B-roll stringers, or you?
B-roll, also reels.
Okay. Who here shoots primarily for social media?
Everyone should raise their hand.
So like doing reels, right? It's a different product than doing a long form script. Still involves pre-production. Still involves that planning, right? What pre-production does is not just get you prepared for it, those hard like equipment and the logistics of it, but it also has these soft targets that you can hit too. When you plan, when you start pre-production, when you're starting this project, it helps you to start managing expectations. Manage expectations of yourself. Like, am I able to do this in the time that's allowed? Or what am I able to do for this in the time that's allowed? Or my resources. It also allows you to manage expectations of the customer. And that's a big one, especially when you have customers that aren't really worried about the bottom dollar. I mean, we're all stewards of taxpayers' money, and so should our customers that we're doing. But whenever they don't have to pay for changes, because in the commercial side, if a customer wants changes to something that was already agreed upon, it costs them more money. And so they narrow down their changes. But if you can manage the expectations of your customers up front during pre-production, during that initial meeting and stuff like that, it helps the whole process go smoothly. It also helps you solve a problem, whether it's a logistical problem, an equipment problem, a coordination problem. All of these, pre-production helps with all of that. It also creates an effect, and it creates a way for this project to go forward. It sets that foundation. And sometimes it just answers a question to whether this is possible or what's going to be possible with it. Are there any questions so far? All right. I don't have lots of. Do you notice my background's moving? Keynote does that. Sorry. I was like, what's the coolest thing I can do? Because there's going to be a lot of boring stuff that's up here. So there's a little bit of movement.
Is it cinematic movement?
Cinematic movement. It is very flowy. So there's different approaches. We talked about some of these right here. So who said that they do long form, like scripted stuff? Okay. Tell me a little bit about what do you like intentionally perform pre-production, or do you just like, hey, I got a plan and we're going forward? What about someone who does like Instagram Reels or Facebook Reels? Does anybody do those? Okay. So what's your pre-production process? You'll script a reel? Yeah, it's a product, right? I mean, you can script reels. Yeah. So it may not. There may be more logistical stuff on the long form side, but may not. It depends on what that short's going to be. And you may be producing a reel from something that's going to be long form as a teaser, as you guys will kind of see in my next couple slides. A documentary, you're primarily working with uncontrolled action on a lot of times for documentaries. And so you might have to go about a lot more coordination, a lot of planning to make sure stuff's in place for that. So that because you might only get one chance to shoot it. What about if you're just doing like a motion graphics piece or an animation? I mean, how much planning goes into that? Yeah, exactly. A lot, right? What if it's just a talking head? It's like, hey, so-and-so, go over there, and we need to get the base commander's viewpoint on this particular incident that just happened, and he wants to address the wing. What is some pre-production can you think that you would need to perform before you went out there?
Locations.
Where is it going to be done? Okay. So what's one of the good things if you have some time? Do you guys perform site surveys? Key in pre-production, right? Yeah. Where's it going to be? Right. Is he going to know and getting to know your customer too? You find out, are they going to need a teleprompter? Are they comfortable with just going off the hip? But see, that's that planning that's going in right before you do it. That's the pre-production. So you guys are doing pre-production. It just might not be codified. It's like, oh, I have a form, which is totally the way that we do it at the third too. Is we have forms and different milestones that we hit. Can you guys think of any other circumstances that you would need to perform pre-production? What about podcasts? Who does podcasts? You do everything, don't you? Who else does podcasts? Okay, yeah. So you do podcasts. So what's your role in it? Is it all you?
No, I'm not really involved with that. Just shop.
Your shop does it. Okay. I know that the two individuals back there, Sam and Tyler, they do I don't know if you guys have watched the podcast for the DC Video Shoot-Off. They've done like 7 episodes of it. 8 episodes of it. There's a lot of planning that goes into that. It might look like it's just a casual conversation between 2 people or 3 people, 4 people. But there's a lot of planning, logistical, getting them all together at the same time, making sure the background looks good so that it comes across in that polished, professional, and effective manner. Okay. So I always like to follow the path. This is kind of what we do at the third. It's a typical way to do stuff, but it doesn't mean you have to follow each one of these. We always have that initial customer meeting, whoever we're going to be working, whoever this product is for. And during that initial customer meeting, that's where you can start managing expectations. You're the expert when you go in and you're talking to them. You're the one that's creating this product. Typically, individuals that want this stuff, they know they want to get their message out, but they don't know necessarily how to do it, or else they'd be doing it themselves. So the initial customer meeting, you get to know them. You get to you kind of feel out where they're coming from, what they want. You find out what messages they're trying to get out, who their target audience is, because that's what's important. Because you're not going to develop a product for 18 to 25-year-old males that you would do for senior leadership. People are going to be you got to speak their language. You got to make it poignant and directed to what their interests are and how they're going to take that information in. Once you get all that information out, you bring it back, and we always develop a treatment. It's a written treatment. It talks and it clearly identifies who the target audience is, what messages they're trying to get, an overall feel of the production, visual style and audio style. And if you can provide some examples, it's kind of like this, or I'm thinking of music kind of like this, or we want it to be the lighting like this, and you write it all out, and so that they have something they can look at and say, and you can go over it with them, and go over it with them, because you can talk them through it. Once they kind of sign off on that, you go in and you actually do the scripting. Sometimes you're going to be handed a script, and a lot of times when people hand you a script, they're just like, this is all the information that we need you to do. It's not, it's written to be read. It's not written to be seen. So you have to adapt that. But you get the script, you have your audio and your video, and once that's agreed upon, and that's back and forth with the customer, then you lock the script, and then it's imperative that you do like a shot sheet. Lay out all your shots. You know, this is what we're going to need for here. This is where it's going to be. We'll do a shot sheet, and interior at this location using this camera. It's going to be a move on this, and it's going to have audio on it, and you have it all laid out. And it may not be chronological. It may be, you might have to shoot some things this day because it's available this day, and some things this day. And over the course of the week, you get the entire script shot, and then you take it back into post and put it all together. But that's, pre-production is good, meticulous organization too on the shot sheets. But once you have all that kind of stuff done, you can do storyboards too. Part of the script and the treatment when you're
trying to sell it to them, storyboards are great. And I tell you what, the advent of generative AI has made my storyboards game a lot better. It's no longer stick figures, right? That really helps. We're visual beings, right? People can see, oh, I see exactly what you're talking about, what you're going for there. So storyboards can fit in there in the script and treatment area. But then once you get that all locked, you get it all going, then you roll camera, right? And you start implementing the cinematic moves and the lighting and all that stuff. So something similar is, do you guys kind of follow something like that? Similar? And it's going to be hyper accelerated in some situations. And it's not going to be a back and forth process with the customer. But it's very important that it's done. Let's see. Okay, so that was really brief kind of overview about pre-production, right? It's very important to do. As a matter of fact, there's going to be some steps of pre-production that you're going to need to perform before we're going to release you to go shoot this stuff. Like I said, we just want to make sure that this is you have a good foundation to go out on. So what we wanted to do was I want to show some previous shoot-off standouts, some previous productions that have been done here at the DC Shoot-Off. And if you guys have gone to the website, we have a whole page at the DC Shoot-Off video gallery. But we picked, as staff, a couple that we thought were done really well, for different reasons. So has anybody went and looked at some of the previous entries? Yeah. Well, we're going to look at some of those we think have done well, and then I'd like to talk a little bit about it to see kind of what kind of pre-production you thought might have went into it, or what it might have taken to get to that. So let's hope that audio works.
Dad, read me the story again.
Again, princess? It must have been 1,000 times already.
I don't care. And do the voice.
The voice, you mean like this? All right, princess. This is a story. This is a story of an old man who convinced himself he was living a fantasy life. He called himself a knight, and his name was Don Quixote.
Don't forget his squire, Happy Panda.
I think you mean his squire Sancho Panza.
Yeah, whatever.
And together, they went on an amazing journey.
Dad, I don't feel so good. Can you read to me some more? Tell me about his horse, Queso Grande.
I think you mean his horse, Rocinante.
Sure.
Aye, alright. He will travel the land far and wide on his faithful steed, Rocinante, in search for his princess, Dulcinea.
What about the monsters?
He encountered a myriad of creatures, both colossal and small.
Yeah, this is your doctor's office. We need you to bring her in for more tests because it looks like this may be more than just a common cold.
Did he find his princess?
Legend says he found an angel instead and realized it was all a dream. But it was a nice dream while it lasted.
That was from year 2016, and the theme was spirit. So that was an example of a totally produced piece. They scripted it out. As you can see, there were several different shots that were continuity shots. The bumping of fists and the clinking of the bottles. There were a lot of different cinematic movement in there. There's some problems with audio, but there's always, I mean, sometimes stuff falls short, right? But it was able to convey emotion on a produced piece like that. Another one we liked that was kind of a man on the street thing was this one. It was from 2018 called Humor.
Humor is...
Okay. That's so hard. It's so different for everyone.
Humor, I think it makes you feel good inside.
I like those big belly laughs where you feel like you're like working on your abs because you're just laughing so much hunched over. But to make that happen, I like corny jokes. I like those like dad jokes that you would just like, ah, God, why is that funny?
Okay, what do you call a priest on a motorcycle? Rev. Sorry, it's so stupid, I love it.
We had a death in the family a year or two ago. We remembered all the laughing things that we did with my wife's mother, my mother-in-law. And that really helped us get through it. It really did. All the times, because she had a good sense of humor. She liked to giggle.
When you're hurt and there's like this hole in your heart or something like that, pain takes a while to heal, but humor helps address that level of pain.
My favorite line to say is laughing because it beats crying. Because they're both emotionally heart-wrenching things, but one leaves you at the end of the day feeling refreshed and the other leaves you feeling drained. So.
Laughter is a universal language because you don't need a translation vocally.
Everybody laughs. Doesn't matter if they're in the Himalaya mountains, in the African jungle, that's pretty universal.
I want to say it connects all of us.
You can connect with them if you've just met them, if you're upset, if you're happy and need more happy.
I'd say laughing in general is a universal, and so humor in itself is a universal.
It's kind of like music. Everybody does it.
It was a solid little piece, huh? Oh, not yet, not yet. I didn't want to show that one yet. Okay. So you can see the difference some teams take, the approach they take. While the first one, the theme was spirit, it was very, I mean, they took a more produced approach to it. On this humor one, they took a very practical approach and very straightforward. Yeah?
Were all the subjects in humor members of like people that were taking part, like they just pulled people from
No. My understanding, I was here for that one, but again, when you guys go out, you get all the teams kind of go, right? But my understanding is they researched a location and the time, and then they were asking people to come, and so they approached people to come and ask them about humor and what they thought. And I'm sure they didn't just do those 5 people, but those were the best 5 out of it, right? But it was clean. The lighting looked great. The audio was clean. They had some great audio leads in. The background was very simple, but there was a nice shallow depth of field that wasn't too much, you know. So it was technically done, but it was very simple, and that's why we kind of pulled it out. So that's another approach that could be taken, but I think it was effective. I mean, no one really thought that joke about the priest on a bike was funny until she laughed at it, right? And then I saw everybody else kind of laugh. So yeah, Tony. That's part of that scripting. I mean, they knew where they wanted to go. They knew what this project was going to look like before they shot the stuff, right? But they didn't know exactly. They were really kind of dependent on if they got good interviews with it or not, though. They got characters, which I think they did. They kind of covered the spectrum. Any other observations on that one? Okay, this next one, it was also from 2018. It was humor. Let's Start it back here.
You're a joke. Ron. 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 He's such a joke.
All right, what did you think about that one? That's some pretty good cinematography on that, huh? Yeah. That one was, we picked that one specifically for cinematography, but also it was, you can tell that was a scripted piece. It was all choreographed, it was all scripted out. That really impressed, I was here for that one too. That was actually led by Mr. Sam Morris when he was a mentor here. That was one of his pieces. Yay! Let's see, what else we got? So a lot of us have to do feature pieces on people, right? Like this person was the first to do this at the base or at the post or at our thing, you know. And sometimes they can be boring, but sometimes they're very interesting. You know, it's that story, you're trying to get that person and find out what they've gone through, what they contributed. We found this one. This was also for 2016 for Spirit, and this was a feature piece that was done, and it really ties it. It kind of tugs on your emotions a little bit.
As a kid, I was often short, and I'm short now, but I was often kind of teased about it. I've grown to enjoy my uniqueness and my shortness.
He's small, but most importantly, he's got a lot of heart out there, and I think that is a direct reflection of the battle that he faced.
Depends on pretty much genetics. If they have a tall gene, then they're tall. If they're a short gene, they're generally short. I'm kind of in the middle because I have leukemia. I'm short.
And so they walked me and my wife down to the little doctor's area, and they told us that our son has leukemia. So that's how it started, and we were there for about 30 days to get everything under control and learn everything we need to know about living with cancer, and that's how it started, and we battled for about 3.5 years. So that's the story.
Oh, look at there. Oh no, Zachary!
I knew I had to be strong for, my baby. I couldn't lose it for them. So I had to just keep going. Just, put your head down and just keep going.
We have to keep pushing and not become downtrodden, because if we do, then we're going to definitely lose the game because we don't believe we can win ourselves. So we have to believe that we have to win.
I couldn't leave him, and I didn't leave the hospital for 2 weeks when he was in there, because I couldn't leave. I had to be there.
Love you.
I was sitting in bed this morning with, hearing the rain fall, and it's just, I don't want to get out of bed because it's so peaceful, and the rain just kind of washes away, all the junk of the previous day and making things new and beautiful the next day.
We've seen people who've lost their kids, and We've seen the struggles they've dealt with, and that's the ultimate rainy day, but we've not experienced that. We've sort of gone beyond it and saw the sunlight afterward every single time. So it's good to be beyond sort of our rainy season.
So that had quite a bit of emotion to it, right? I mean, the subject matter, yeah, of course, but the way they portrayed it, the music, how everything came together with it, it just happened to be a rainy weekend, that weekend on the DC ShootOff, which tied in great. And we thought that was a great way to highlight someone's story, a special story like that. How many of you guys had to do feature pieces like that before? Yeah. What are some of the methods you guys use to get comfortable with the family? It's talking before. That's that pre-production, getting to know them beforehand. That's part of that too. Okay. I know I only have about 10 more minutes. I want to show this last one here. This is a piece that doesn't have any dialogue in it. And this was from 2019, and the theme was unity. And we thought it was a kind of fun piece here. As you can see, you can take a lot of different directions with these, right? That was an example of, there was no spoken dialogue in there, right? But you know they had to plan all that stuff out, scripting that out. So those are the kind of things that are possible within this 30 whatever hours you guys are gonna have. Not all ideas are gonna work out, so we ask that you kind of have a backup plan there. But let's talk about kind of the next steps. We've got about 5 minutes to go through it real quick. From starting after lunch, or right before we go to lunch, we're going to pick the topic, okay? But then we're going to have some great speakers. Mr. Jim Fabio is going to be here. Fantastic storyteller. He's going to motivate you and show you what's possible. And then we're going to have a panel also of past award winners and mentors, kind of what to expect. And then we're going to go over the rules, and then we're going to have you guys get into or you guys are in your teams, and I'm sure once we tell you the topic during lunch, you guys will probably the ideas will start flowing, right? But there's going to be a couple things you can do before you can go out and start shooting. We ask that each team has 2 story ideas, because inevitably one's going to fall through. Hopefully not, but at least 2 story ideas. And then you're going to need to develop an elevator pitch, and you have to pitch it to 2 staff members. We'll be in here. We'll be available, and you need to pitch to us. And we're not there to like yay or nay. We're just like, hey, did you think about this? Or yeah, that sounds great. Or that ties to this. It's just to kind of help you out a little bit. Once you get that, then it's up to the mentor. They're going to make sure that you guys have all the gear you need. And if not, you'll be able to check some stuff out from Canon. And Canon's going to come up here and speak with us in a little bit. And then we also have ICANN is here, and Hollyland, and we got Condor Blue too. So you get all that checked out. And then once that's done, you guys are free to do what you need to do. And we say storyboards because sometimes it helps to storyboard that stuff out. Your final products are going to be due at 7 a.m. Sunday morning. You can shoot in whatever aspect ratio you want. It's up to your discretion, but it should be content driven. It's all on the website. And we'll go over the rules too. Let's see. I will be giving out or adding people to the Google Drive. You'll have your specific folders. I have the email addresses for the mentors. We'll add all that. Maximum length of 5 minutes. So, like I said, we're going to be going over the rules. But yeah, who's excited to get started? Yeah, I know. Yeah, me too. You need to use your time wisely, though. All right. So thank you very much. I hope that you gleaned something from this.